What's up, everybody? My name is Dana Harris with Young Gurus Math Tutoring, and I'm back at you to bring you some more math jewels. Today I'm going to be talking about simplifying radicals. Now, I'm going to keep it to just square root radicals, but we're going to break those down into simplest form. So let's go ahead and get into the mathematics. So there is a rule that says if we have any two numbers, A and B. Now notice it says greater than or equal to 0 for both of these numbers. So that means it has to be either 0 or a positive number. The rule says that if I have those two numbers multiplied together, then I can actually break them apart as factors. And so if I have the square root of A times B, whatever those two numbers are, I can separate them from the radicals and make it the square root of A times the square root of B. Let's go ahead and show you an example. So, for example, if I have the square root of 48, all right? Now, 48 has several factors, but I want to break this down into two factors, and I want one of those factors to be a perfect square number because we're working with square root, okay? So, the square root of 16 times 3, or 3, is equal to 48. So now I can take this and I can say the square root of 16 times the square root of 3. And now since 16 is a perfect square number, the square root of 16 is just 4. And then I just keep the square root of 3 under my radical. And that's the square root of 48 in simplest form. 4 times the square root of 3. All right, let's do one more example. Or another example, as I should say, because I'm not just going to do one. All right, so let's say we have example 2. And let's say in example 2, I have the square root of 160. All right, square root of 160 is the same thing as 16 times 10. All right. 16 is a perfect square number, so I have the square root of 16 times the square root of 10. We know that the square root of 16 is 4, so we're going to take that and say 4, and then the square root of 10. Okay? Notice the square root of 10 has factors, but none of those factors are perfect square numbers. So we want to leave it just like that. The number that remains under the radical, it may have factors, but we want to make sure that it doesn't have any factors that are perfect square numbers. All right? One more example. And this one, it won't have 16 in it. All right? So let's say we have the square root of 128. Now, the square root of 128, it's the same thing as saying 64 times 2. 64 is a perfect square number. So we can separate that and say the square root of 64 times the square root of 2. The square root of 64 is 8. So 8 times the square root of 2 is our final answer. All right? So one of the things that you're going to need to help you do these is you're going to need to practice working with perfect square numbers. All right? Young Gurus Math Tutoring, do me a favor and like, share, as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, please go to my Facebook page, Young Gurus Math Tutoring, as well as if you're an Instagrammer, we're on Instagram at YG Math Tutoring. I've got the solution to your math problems.